Hi, I'm Dr. Tracy, and I'm back in our small animal surgery suite talking about horses. So today I'd like to talk about your option for an electronic extended equine certificate of veterinary inspection. Basically, that's the 6-month health certificate. So I had someone call and ask about it today, and instead of calling them back and answering it, I thought I'm going to do a video. That way everybody who's interested in this gets the answer. And I still haven't figured out if I should be looking straight ahead or looking at the camera. So if my eyes are bouncing around and that is weird, I'm so sorry. I don't know where to look. So if you are traveling with your horse out of state, you have to have a Coggins test. A Coggins is an EIA, Equine Infectious Anemia. That is the blood draw that we do, usually in the spring, but we do it year-round. We send it off to a lab, and they can either do an ELISA or an AGID test on it. We get a result back, and that's your little freedom to move about. Equine infectious anemia is passed by mosquitoes, and it is a very serious, 100% fatal contagious disease. And we don't really have it in Minnesota. We don't have it a lot in the United States. They do occasionally get a case down south, and often it's in an import, but we have had a positive in Minnesota in the last 15 years. Very rare. But the reason it's rare is because of the testing protocols. So I'm getting off topic. So you have to have that. But once you have that, you still are technically supposed to have an equine certificate of veterinary inspection. I'm going to call that health certificate because it's just easier. Health certificate. People know what that means instead of a CVI. You have to have that to cross state lines. Now, different states have different requirements, and some states require your Coggins be within 6 months, some require calendar year, some require what's called a permit. Some states that have had different diseases like vesicular disease, which are like blisters that can be on cattle and horses. If you live in a state that has had vesicular disease, they're not gonna let you in. Like, if you're from New Mexico, you can't go to North Dakota with your horse. I don't know if that's the case. I'm just using that as an example. So anyway, most of the states cooperate really, really well with health certificates. And Global Vetlink, which is a private company, basically talked the government into these extended equine certificates of veterinary inspection that last for 6 months. There is no paper version of this health certificate. It is only electronic, and Global Vetlink is the only one that I am aware that does it. So not every state participates. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see my little printout. Can you see that? So all the states in the dark blue think this is a good idea, and you're welcome to come to their state within 6 months if you have a EECVI. So we live in Minnesota, we're blue. South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, Kansas, Missouri, Texas, New Mexico, they all are part of the program, but these are the states that if you have an extended CVI, they're not going to let you in. It doesn't count. And unfortunately, there's a couple states close to us. Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Nebraska, or Colorado. So if you're going to the Black Hills, you're going to Medora, you're going out to Montana, going down to Kansas, Texas, you're good. You're golden. This is the perfect thing for you to do, especially if you're coming and going a lot from the southern states. If you're going into Wisconsin to trail ride, it's not worth it. If you're going to go to Iowa for barrel races, not worth it. You're going to have to go with the old standard health certificates. Nebraska, do people go to Nebraska with their horses? Maybe. Maybe some barrel races do. Colorado. So how this works, and there are a couple states. The light blue, these are Florida, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arizona. I feel like this is like a geography test. They actually require that your horse either have photographs on your Coggins or microchipped. So if some of you didn't realize we could microchip horses, we do. This is the microchip we use. Just a 15-number microchip. There are actually several brands that make them, but the readers are all universal. So 15 numbers. We put this in a very specific spot on horses. In dogs and cats, we shoot for between the shoulder blades, so it's kind of universally known where to look. In dogs, we do on the left side of the crest, way up high, 6 to 8 inches back from their poll. Left side. Now with horses, we do usually clip it, scrub it, put a little bit of lidocaine in, because this is a big needle. Dogs and cats, they don't have a lot of feeling on their scruff, so they don't seem to mind it. And honestly, most of the ones we do, they're sedated for surgery. So we have had several people put microchips in their horses, especially if they have like a bay thoroughbred that looks like every other bay thoroughbred, and there's no brand, no tattoo, no like distinguishing paint marks, that you look like every other horse. This is permanent identification, and I think it's smart. I think it's a smart thing. So how this works is we do your Coggins, it's negative, we punch in all your information, and then you have access to Global Vetlink. And in that 6 months time period, every time you are going to travel as close to the date of travel, you have to log in. You can do it from your phone, your computer. You have to say where you're going, and you have to answer a few questions about your pet's health, horse's health. And you know what? Some states are going to ask to put in a temperature, like a rectal temperature on your horse. And honestly, that's smart. Because if you're going to haul from Minnesota to Montana, you don't want to put a horse that could potentially be sick in your trailer. You're going to give them shipping fever and pneumonia. So take the temperature. It's really not hard. But they may ask for that. You punch in that information, and then it tells you you are either denied, which you won't be if you're going to a state that participates in this, or if your horse has a fever, you'll be denied, or you'll be accepted. And then you go. And here's the deal. You have to punch it in your phone on your way back. Every time your horse travels, you have to log its travel. Now, if you're going through a state, you don't have to say that. So if you're starting in Minnesota and you're driving straight through to Oklahoma, I've done that drive many times, and you're not stopping along the way overnight, you don't have to put South Dakota, Kansas, Iowa, whatever state you're going through. You only have to put your final destination. So that is how that works. It does require a little effort. The other nice thing is you don't have to print out every time you travel. What you can pull up on your screen on your phone through Global Vetlink, that digital certificate to show the weigh station or the cop or whoever would maybe be checking, and I don't know because I've never been pulled over and checked personally. Like, that is legal. That digital counts. So, Wanda and anybody else, I hope this answers your questions, and if it doesn't, I will try best to answer them on whether or not this would be appropriate for you. I definitely think this is wise for barrel racers that are not going to Wisconsin, Illinois, or Iowa, but if you're going down to Oklahoma, Texas, and you're making that trip quite a bit, you're going into South Dakota, North Dakota, I think it's smart. So, thanks.